Your staff needs many tools and supplies to keep the operation clean, right? Lots. Lots. If you walk into our chemical storage room at school, you will be amazed. There is so many different types of things that you need to have on hand to do the job correctly. However, a lot of these chemicals can contaminate food and surfaces if they are not used and stored correctly. Many of the chemicals that we use are hazardous, so you have to know how to handle them to prevent injury to yourself and to others. I mean, it's not just all about you. Cleaning tools must be stored so they do not contaminate food and equipment. It's a best practice to store these items in a designated area like we've got. Cleaning tools should also be stored in a way that makes it easy to clean the area they're stored in. The storage area should definitely have the following things. Really good lighting so staff can see your chemicals easily. Hooks for hanging mops, brooms, and other cleaning tools off the ground so you don't get a pest problem in a wet mop. Utility or a service sink for filling buckets and washing those cleaning tools. And a floor drain for dumping dirty water like you see in the picture. To prevent contamination, never clean mops, brushes, or other tools in sinks that are used for hand washing, food prep, or dishwashing. Ever. Hand washing, food prep sinks are not for where you put the dirty crap. Dump it into the utility sink. We just talked about that. Additionally, don't dump mop water into a toilet or a urinal. That creates back siphonage. And it's also gross. And you're gross for thinking of it. Stop it. When you're storing cleaning tools, consider the following stuff, right? Place your mops in a position to air dry that isn't going to soil the walls, equipment, or supplies. Hang them up. Lean them against a wall that's got a plastic coating. Clean and rinse your buckets. Turn them upside down. Let them air dry. Store them with your other tools. If chemicals or cleaning tools have not been used or stored correctly, you're going to have to take corrective action. If your chemical storage area gets disorganized or messy, fix it. This isn't tough. Fix it. Sheesh. Many of the chemicals that are used in operation are hazardous, right? We have talked about this like 6 or 7 different ways and in 6 or 7 different times. Chemicals that we use are pretty hazardous, especially if they're used or stored in the wrong way. One of the biggest dangers is cross-contamination. To reduce this risk, you're going to follow some guidelines. Only chemicals that are approved for use in a food service operation should be used. Only chemicals that are approved for a restaurant are used in a restaurant. Don't go to Walmart and pick up something there that you think will do the job. You might kill somebody. Never keep chemicals that are not required to operate or maintain the establishment. In other words, don't have crap laying around that you don't need and shouldn't be there. That makes sense, right? To prevent contamination, always cover or remove items that could potentially become contaminated. Just cover them up. If you need to spray down a bunch of stainless steel surfaces with stainless steel polish, make sure that you cover up the plates first. This just makes sense, right? After using chemicals, make sure to clean and sanitize equipment and utensils that could have come in contact with it. And as always, one more time, follow manufacturers' guidelines and the law. Cleaning chemicals are potentially very hazardous. Chemical storage is a bigger issue than you might think. If you don't store your laundry detergent correctly, for example, freshman culinarians might be tempted to think it's sugar. That would be bad. To prevent your 9th graders from eating laundry soap, I want you to do this. Store all your chemicals in their original containers as much as possible. Some operations also designate specific areas for storing chemicals. We have a chemical storage room. Whether or not this is done, chemicals must be kept separate from food, equipment, utensils, and linens. This separation can be done in a couple of ways. You can space your chemicals apart from all your food stuff, give it a good bit of space. You can partition off chemicals from the other items stored in the same area by using stainless steel barriers, plastic shelving that fits that purpose. But regardless of how you keep your chemicals, food, and linen separate, the chemicals always have to be stored below. So potentially hazardous chemicals can't drip into the food. I mean, that just makes sense. Don't put the bleach above a bunch of peanut butter. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but I'm sure someone will. And will point at them and laugh and go, "You're dumb, dummy." I don't even know what I'm talking about. Restaurants usually purchase their chemicals in bulk, right? This means they buy in huge amounts. They have to pay particular attention to how they're going to label their cleansers. Chemicals stored in their original container should have the manufacturer's label. If they don't, send it back and get them to ship you another order of the same thing, but with labels this time, please. The labels have to include the directions for use and be clear enough to read. If you're transferring to a new container because you've bought in bulk or as a concentrate, the label on that container must list the common name of the chemical. The photo you're looking at shows a working container that's labeled with the common name of the chemical. Notice that a working container doesn't have to have the brand name, just the common name. I mean, I don't have to label the sprayer with the Ecolab Oasis sanitizer. I just have to say it's sanitizer. Make sense? Okay, good. There is simply no way to keep a busy restaurant as clean as it needs to be without having a well-organized cleaning program in place. There are just too many things that have to be addressed frequently, but not every day, you know? You do need to scrub out your trash cans, but not every day. You do need to clean the entire inside of all your reach-in refrigerators, but not every day. The list goes on and on. To keep your facility clean, you're going to have to create a program. And then you're going to have to train your staff on how to do it, and then stay on top of the schedule to make sure everything's getting done. Now what we're talking about is the big master program. How are we going to keep the whole place clean? To begin with, you're going to have to start with design and development. That means you'll need to identify all of your regular cleaning needs throughout the entire facility. Then, once you know what needs to be cleaned, you have to decide on when. This means writing a master cleaning schedule with the what, the when, the who, and the how clearly identified. Your fantastic cleaning program won't work if your staff doesn't know how to do it. For example, we have to clean and change the oil on our vacuum sealer after every 50 uses. Right now, we have no students who know how to do this task and no real way of counting. This means your fearless chef has to do it himself, and I sometimes forget. If a student was trained and knew what to do, I could focus on other things. Training is vital, and a master cleaning schedule will make your life so much better. After we've got the schedule together, though, we got to keep an eye on our staff to make sure our cleaning program is working and we haven't missed any important details. So if we were to break down this process just a little bit more, it would look kind of like this. Identify the what. List all the cleaning jobs, area by area. Or maybe you could list the jobs in the order they should be performed. Include both food and non-food surfaces. Remember, not just the food contact surfaces, but non-food contact surfaces too, as items that need to be cleaned. Identify the who. Okay, who's going to do each thing? Who is responsible for each task? Identify the when. Staff should clean and sanitize as needed, but major cleaning, that needs to happen when food or service will not be affected. Schedule some work shifts to allow enough time. Like we're going to have a Saturday cleaning. As soon as everybody can come back to school, we're going to do a Saturday cleaning, and everybody's going to be on hand, and we're going to get our kitchen back to order. Identify the how. Have clear, written procedures for cleaning. List cleaning tools and chemicals by name. Remember, training is really just passing on information. One good way to do this is by posting cleaning instructions near the items you want cleaned so your staff has a reference for what you want done. Of course, everyone who works for you should always follow manufacturer's instructions. Of course they should. Really? Do we need to say this anymore? ServSafe understands that just because you tell your staff to clean something and teach them how to do it, they might not be very excited about the prospect of extra cleaning. You'll probably have to do some work to get them to buy into your cleaning program. Here's what ServSafe recommends. Schedule a kickoff meeting to introduce your program to your staff. Explain the reason behind it. Stress how important cleanliness is to food safety. If your staff understands why they're doing something, they'll be more likely to do it. Schedule enough time for training. Work with small groups or conduct training by area. Show staff how to clean equipment and surfaces in each area, and provide lots of motivation. Reward staff for any job well done. Create small incentives for staff members or teams, such as an award for Clean Team of the Month. I don't know, something like that. Give them a prize. Or, give them extra credit. That usually works for me. Once you got your cleaning program up and running, it's time to make sure it's working properly. So you're going to do this. You're going to supervise your daily cleaning routines. Check all cleaning tasks against the master schedule every day. Change the master schedule as needed for any changes in menu, procedures, equipment, or maybe staff. And here's a good idea. Why don't you ask staff during some regular meetings for their input? They're the ones who are actually doing it. They know what needs to be done best. They know better than you. Most importantly, in all of this chapter, remember to set a good example. If you think you are too important to clean, if you think that you are too powerful or too big a man or too I don't know, hot pans, whatever. If you think you're too important to clean, you're a bad chef. I told you we'd come back to Thomas Keller. He's one of the best chefs in the world. He runs the French Laundry and Per Se, some of the greatest places there are anywhere. And here he is washing dishes. He isn't afraid to get his hands dirty and do what needs to be done. And if he can do it, we can do it, right? And that ends ServSafe. We're done. We have gone from the beginning of what is a foodborne illness down to the very end, Thomas Keller washing dishes. And I hope that you have gotten everything that you need. If you haven't, go back, rewatch. Over the course of all these videos, every single idea that is in the ServSafe textbooks that might potentially show up on the exam, I've talked about. So if you understand what I'm talking about on these videos, then you are ready for the test. If something has gone by too quickly or you missed an important point, you're going to have to go back. Thanks for joining me on the journey, my friends, and I'll see you in the kitchen.